Hello guys, we're a minute early, so I'm gonna let everybody hop on here. Good, you guys already got typing in the chat. Go ahead and type here if you're here. Makes it easier for me to record who's here and get the dialogue. Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing with all the online school and all that? With your other classes, have you guys adjusted to that? Do you guys like it now, or you wish we were meeting in person? I'd like to know. Do you guys like online school now? For those of you who are here. Good question. Keegan said, are we coming back this year? I don't know, honestly. The information, did you guys get like a parent square? We got an informational update from the school or the district. It doesn't quite line up with what the governor said. So I'm wondering if they're saying that and they haven't quite made a decision as to what's happening, or they're going to kind of watch and see what happens before they decide. I don't know. I don't have any more information than you guys do. We're just kind of at a wait and see process. The governor, I thought, said don't plan on going back this school year, but I don't know if that will change. I don't know. We don't know. Don't know for sure. They will probably continue to evaluate that as we move forward with things. I didn't really want to talk about the coronavirus, but I feel like, okay, so what's happening is crazy and will forever be like a huge thing in our history of our world. But I know there's a lot of fear maybe and emotions that are tied to that, but not talking about that part. Mathematically, this follows a exponential process. And if you actually look at the data, we're math nerds, so my husband and I modeled it last night, and it's following an exponential curve exactly. So the thing with exponential curves is like it starts out, so the thing is, a lot of people who are talking about this don't understand math. So doctors and mathematicians and statisticians are really who are people you would want to get information from. So what happens is with exponential, we've talked about this a little bit, it starts out like this, and then as it grows, it starts to go like this and skyrocket. So when they're looking at the values, and we're only like right here in this process, and when they're like, oh, when we compare our numbers to whatever, like today, it's always like by 3, like 27, and they'll look at, you know, Italy, the US, China, other places where this is happening, or specifically California. It's taken at a time on the calendar rather than the time from when it started in the country. So when you can find good modeling techniques, instead of looking at 327, they'll look at like day 1 and day 2 and day 3. And when you look at our current day, when you compare that to Italy, then you can start to see like a similarity. So anyways, mathematically, what is happening is quite crazy to see something modeled exponentially in real life to this specification. What do you think of online school system for right now? What do I think of it? I'm not really sure what that question is for me. I think it's allowing students to have some flexibility with when they're watching things, and like for me, posting things live and you can watch it on the replay whenever it's convenient for you is very helpful for students. Also, the same as like being able to rewind and go back and look at things is also helpful. For me, it is, I would say, just with my family life, it's much harder than coming to school, because when I go to school, my kids are in school and I can just focus on school. Whereas right now, when I'm trying to work on school stuff, my kids need help doing their homeschool stuff. They're at an age where we can't really just set them up with, here, do this assignment. They're too little for that. Even my oldest one needs guidance with, okay, you finished that material, now you got to take like the follow-up quiz with that. So it's much more hands-on with them. And so they're, unless like right now they're watching TV, so I can do this. So it's a lot more for us at home just because of the ages of our own kids. For me, teaching you guys, it's perfectly fine for me. It's a little disconnected. Like I wished I could hear your guys' voices and see your faces and things like that. So I feel kind of like I'm talking to myself, even though you guys have the chat, but I don't hear your voices, which is kind of sad. But yeah, and then I also worry about, I try to do a lot of interactive stuff in the class with reviewing on whiteboards and Kahoots and things like that and warm-ups, so I can kind of, that also allows me to check your progress and see where we're struggling, see what I need to go over more before we move forward. And I don't really see that as much in this platform right now. So that's a little bit harder on that aspect. So I hope that answers your questions, but I don't mind doing like the video notes and things like that. I'm also set up to be able to do that from home. Not all teachers are, but from my photography and business, you know, like I have this huge like Wacom tablet with a pen, so I can write right on here. Not all teachers just have that kind of technology, and so I think for them they're quite overwhelmed. But it's not bad for me. So thank you for asking, Ashley. How's it been for you guys to kind of keep up with all your different school stuff? Has it been the same, easier, harder for you guys to keep up with all that? Have the teachers taken it easier on you guys and not given you as much work as like we normally do? I'm curious. You could answer that. All right. Oh, Spanish O is harder. I would bet that that would be something hard to learn over the internet like that. Yeah, I could definitely see that being harder. Yeah, plus you're getting less homework. I would think for most classes, that's probably how it's going. We're trying not to overwhelm you. Like I'm overwhelmed by my kids' assignments on top of me trying to work. It's just craziness. But hopefully for you guys, you kind of are taking care of your own stuff. Oh, okay, so it's kind of maybe balancing out, Dakota. Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear your guys' thoughts. I have a little cold, but I do not think it's the virus or whatever. I don't have a fever, even though I've had like this cough for like over a week, but I don't have a fever, so most likely it's not that. It's just annoying. So sorry if I like hack it up right now, but okay, so let's get going with all this chit chat. You guys, let me share my other screen with you. had homework to do. And so this, I did post the answers on my website, so you may have already looked at that. If not, let's kind of go through this. It's definitely much more on graphing. Graphing, talking about zeros, the vertex, domain, and range. So hopefully by doing this, it's also a good review to go kind of back and kind of reflect on what we did the first half of the chapter. So here is this on the front side. So you graphed it. The idea was for you to find the vertex and just the roots and use that to graph it on this. Okay. Are there any questions on the front side that we'd like to talk about? Any of these? Were we okay finding the range for the domain? They're all x is all real numbers, but the y would change depending on if it's opening up or opening down and where that's happening. So go ahead and type in the chat if you had a question on the front side, 1 through 6. Anyone that you want me to specifically talk about? Number 2 is confusing to you. Okay, so we had, oh yeah. That one for sure, I would say is pretty challenging because it has a negative in front of it. And so you should have still been able to find the vertex fine. So, because that's just a formula, negative b over 2a, plug that in. You got 3 and then plug that in to find y. But to factor it, you want to pull out a greatest common factor, and you really need to do that first before you factor it. So that pulls out that negative 2, and then with the x squared minus 6x plus 8, that factors fairly easily. It needs to multiply to 8, but add to negative 6, so that'll be negative 4 and negative 2. So we can factor that and then solve that, but you really have to pull out the negative 2 first in order for that to work out nicely like that. That would be definitely a tricky thing on that one. The rest of them, number 6, you also can pull out a 2, but the rest of them are pretty straightforward. This one, you also have that negative in front, so you want to pull that out before you factor it. It makes it quite a bit harder to factor that with the negative in there with x squared. Did you want me to work through that one, Keegan? Did you want me to actually go ahead and solve it for you and work it live here? I can do that. So just say yes or no if you want me to work it out for you. Okay, so let's flip back to my other screen. Okay, so for this one, okay, so the first thing I would do is find the vertex, so negative b over 2a. So it's going to be negative 12 over 2 times negative 2. So that turns out to be a 3, and so now I'm going to plug that back in. It's a negative 2, which is going to be times 9, plus 12 times 3 is 36, minus 16. So negative 18 plus 36 minus 16. So that's 18 minus 16 is 2. Okay. So I've got my vertex is at 3, 2. I also know because it's a negative 2x squared, it's going to open down. So it's going to look like this somehow. So then the factoring step, I just set y equal to 0. Of negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 16. So I'm going to pull out a negative 2. That does change the sign here, so it'd be 6x and then plus 8, just like dividing by negative 2. So when you're solving, not when you're just factoring, but when you're solving it equals 0, I can just divide this by negative 2 and it's gone. Like it's not going to affect my answers. If it just says factor completely, that -2 is part of your factoring, but here it's not, we're just solving. So we can actually just get rid of it. And so now it multiplies to 8, but adds to -6. So it'd be -4 and -2. And so that you just make your two little equations. You get 2 and 4. So if you graph this, why everything's crooked for me. And we're at 3, 2. So we're up here, and then these are at 3, 4, 2. So then we have points at 2, 0, and 4, 0 from these. That's crossing at 2, 0, and 4, 0. So this then will go down. Oops, I kind of missed that. Sorry, bad drawing, but it goes like that. So then we have the vertex, the intercepts. Here the domain will be all reals. And then for the range, the highest the y is going to go is right here, and it's going to go down. So that's going to be y is less than or equal to 2 for that range part. And so I mean, to do that well, y, where y is less than or equal to 2 for the range. All right, I hope that helped, Keegan. Okay, flipping on to the back. You had to find the zeros, and then let me flip back and share my other screen. So find the zeros, find the equation that matches. And so this was kind of a little bit of elimination by figuring out if it opens up or opens down, finding out where the zeros were to help you with that. And then at the bottom, find the vertex and the zeros, or the solutions. Those are the same word. So are there questions on the back that we would like to discuss? Are there any questions on the back part? Go ahead and type in the chat if you do have questions. I know it takes a second to load those, but any questions on that? 4, 5, 6, and 7. Oh, some of their numbers didn't print well. Oh, sorry about that. Like just in the equation that it gave you. That's lame. Sorry. So I'll go. Let me go back to my other page where I can write. Let's talk about some of those. So on the back, we have like for 4 is y equals 2x squared minus 2. So we'll just start with that one. I'll tell you, kind of walk you through how I figured those ones out, or what I want you to do. So first, I see I can plot a 2. I'd have x squared minus 1. Oh, and then starting off with the 2x squared, is this going to open up or down? Because some of them open up, some open down. So this is going to open up because it's positive. So the next thing I'm doing is finding the zeros. I know it opens up, and then I can find the zeros. So if this equals 0, this is going to factor as x minus 1, x plus 1. So when I solve that, this would be 1 and -1. So I look for the one that opens up, but then also has zeros at 1 and -1. And that's the graph that matches B. So that's kind of how I went through these. So for number 5, y equals 1/2 x squared minus 2. So for this one, you can factor it. The other way you could do this is, it's going to open up, and there's only one other one that opens up. And also you can look at the 1/2 x squared. Do we remember what that does to your parabola with the fractions in front of it? So the 2 in front of it for number 4, we can also see it makes it more narrow. The 1/2 is going to make it wider, almost like a slope where you're going up 1 over 2. So that's going to make it wide. So that does fit with a D. So that, I mean, by elimination here, you could just stop there. You can factor this, but most likely you guys are scared of fractions. Okay, so then this one, -1/2 x squared plus 2, it's going to, I know this is going to make it open down, and it's going to look, if you notice, it's like the same thing as this. It's going to open down, so it's going to have that same width as far as the parabola goes, so that would make that C. Or you could skip that one and come back to it after you did 7, which is -2x squared plus 2. So here, this is going to open down, and I can pull out a -2, x squared minus 1, and then if I factor, you'd have -2, and this will be x minus 1, x plus 1, so that gives me 1 and -1. So it's opening down, and I get 1 and -1, so that would give me A. Then you could go back and see that 6 was. So hopefully that helps. Sorry those were not legible on yours. They didn't print numbers at all? Like they were just blanks? I'm sorry. I don't know why my printer at school does that sometimes. I usually try to catch it, so I'm sorry that yours were totally blank. It's so weird. Okay, so that I think kind of brings us through that worksheet. We are going to kind of go into reviewing into next week. Oh, okay, just didn't put the small numbers. So this is the end of chapter 9. I kind of told you guys that we are getting you guys all on what's called Ingenuity. I don't know if some of your teachers have already gotten you on there. My strategy for that was a lot of people were having a lot of problems with that, so I was going to let all the other teachers kind of get on and figure out the problems and solutions to that before I added you guys on. So I probably will figure that out and be emailing you information about that either today or Monday. We're supposed to all be on there. So to start that off, I might just have you do like a review assignment on there. I don't actually know if we're loading chapter 9. I don't know. It's like all over the place. So we will figure that out. Yeah, I don't really know what's happening with that. But make sure you're checking your school email for information on that. And I will also post in the Google Classroom, like just a notice, like please check your email. I sent you information on how to log on to Ingenuity. So that's going to be the online platform. Yeah, so hopefully that will go as smoothly as we can. I know other teachers are already on there, so hopefully from your standpoint, it should be fine. Does anybody else have any questions for me about stuff? Any other questions? So your homework for today is the self-assessment. That's going to be due Monday, whatever the date is on Monday, the 30th. Okay, so you should have the self-assessment if you were there when I passed out the papers. That was one of them. But if not, I will also post it into on my website, as well as I'll post it in the Google Classroom. One other note is, I think most of you, sorry, my computer's weird, have uploaded your picture of your completed worksheet in the Google Classroom. Some of you have not. So I think most of you who are watching this live have. But if you are watching this on the replay, please go back and do that. I've been waiting to put them in the grade book because there was like half the class had zeros for those. So please make sure that like by through this weekend, those are all taken care of so that I can upload those and give you credit for those worksheets in Aries and things like that. So there are just so many zeros. I didn't want to do that yet. But you guys will be getting credit for that homework. You will be getting credit for watching the video notes and things like that. So I just have not put those in Aries yet because some people are behind and catching up on a lot of stuff. So just note that that will be happening where I will be putting those grades in Aries. I just have been giving some people some leeway with everything that's going on. Okay, are there any questions about what to do or what comes next? Questions for me? Any questions? I'll give it a second because I know it does like delay it a little bit. Okay, then I think that is everything. Again, if you are here live, please make sure you type something in the chat, either just here or you to ask me a question. Thank you. So then it's easier for me to record the attendance. You obviously do not have to rewatch this. You watched it live. So that just a little record helps me to know who was here. All right, then you guys stay healthy and I will be talking to you next week. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.